Good afternoon, students. In last class, we discussed about the uses of internet, email, education and research, communication, banks, business, e-commerce, e-governance. All we need internet for these services. So we are using internet each and in every area. So we know that World Wide Web. Today we are discussing on World Wide Web. So the World Wide Web is a network of online content that is formatted in HTML and accessed via HTTP. HTTP means Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So here we should know what is network, because there is a word network. Already we discussed about that also. When two or more computers are interconnected in such a manner that they can share their information and resources, it is known as network. Here it is also a network. World Wide Web is a network of online content that is formatted in HTML. Means these are the web pages which are stored in multiple computers and interconnected with each other, linked with each other. So it is all the web pages, pictures, videos and other online content that can be accessed via web browser. The internet in contrast is the underlying network connection that allows us to send email and access the world wide web. The complete web is organized as millions of websites. Each website is made up of one or more web pages. Each page is made up of text, images, or multimedia such as video and sound. So the World Wide Web is actually made up of millions upon millions of individual web pages. Already we discussed that in previous classes also, that World Wide Web is a interconnection of multiple or millions web pages which are stored in different computers and location. This is an application used on the internet, and all pages that are part of the World Wide Web begin with HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Then we are starting www.world wide web. So World Wide Web is an abbreviation of so triple W is the abbreviation for World Wide Web. The World Wide Web is a model for sharing information. It represents a physics laboratory in Switzerland by Tim Berners-Lee around 1990. Difference between internet and World Wide Web. First, we have to understand that also. Everyone knows what is internet. Internet is a network of networks. Once again, I am repeating this definition. Internet is a network of networks. When LAN, WAN, MAN, PAN, SAN, CAN, all types of networks are interconnected with each other, they form internet. Internet is a network of networks. The internet is a comprehensive network of computers and was conceptualized during 1969 by ARPANET. The World Wide Web is much newer compared to the internet and was initialized during 1990. So we have learned lots of things by this. Now here a web server. Web server is system that delivers content or services to end users over the internet. What is web server? A web server is a system that delivers content or services to the end user over the internet. A web server consists of physical server, operating system, and software used to facilitate HTTP communication, hypertext transfer protocol communication. Basically, web server is used to host the website, but there exist other web servers also, such as gaming, storage, FTP, email, etc. Apache HTTP server, Internet Information Service, SYS, Lightpad, and Jigsaw server are few examples of web server. Web server responds to client request and either of the following two ways. First, students, what is server? First word is server here. So we have to understand server. Server means a particular system or a particular mechanism that provides service to customer clients. So a web server is a server that provides facility or service to clients. So we have to understand this thing. So what are the following two things to which a web server respond to the client? Sending file to the client associated with the requested URL. URL means uniform resource locator. Generating response by invoking a script and communicating with database. When clients send request for a web server, the web server search for the requested page. If requested page is found, then it will send it to client with HTTP response. If the requested web page is not found, web server will then send an HTTP response. Error 404 not found. Everyone knows that there are lots of things which we have to understand regarding client server computing. So here we are using client server computing. If client has requested for some other resources, then the web server will contact to the application server and data store to construct the HTTP response. Here we have to understand web server architecture. Web server architecture follows the following two approaches: concurrent approach and single process event driven approach. Concurrent approach allows the web server to handle multiple client requests at the same time. It can be achieved by following methods: multiprocessing, multi-thread, hybrid method. Multiprocessing. What is multiprocessing? In this, a single process or parent process initiates several single threaded child process and distribute incoming requests to these child process. Each of the child process are responsible for handling single request. So it is known as multiprocessing. When multiple process are linked with each other and they are depends on each other, parents and several child process are interconnected when those are interdependent. Suppose a parent process means it initiate several next child process. Suppose we start one process and it will start another 5 process or link to different process. So it is known as multi-processing. It is responsibility of parent process to monitor the load and decide the processes to be killed or forgotten. So means it is the responsibility of a parent process which can manage the child processes. Now multi-threaded, unlike multi-process, it creates multiple single threads process. Means here it is not like that particular process is commanding over other process. In this multi-thread, all are process, but they are single threaded process. Hybrid method, it is combination of above two approaches. In this approach, multiple processes are created and each process initiates multiple threads. Each of the threads handles one connection using multiple threads, and single process results in less load on a system resources. Single process event driven approach. The single process event driven approach architecture use a single event driven server process to perform concurrent process of HTTP request. As SPAT server can called as a state machine and perform one basic step associated with serving of HTTP request at a time. So students, you have learned lots of things regarding this. So we have learned, we have to revise it. First, we have learned the World Wide Web and difference between World Wide Web and Internet. Internet is different. Internet is a service. With the help of that we can access World Wide Web, means the content which are interconnected in the form of HTML web pages. We are using that. Then web server. What is server? We know that a server which provides service of web pages to the client. So we know that web server. So there are two approaches of web server also, and first we have to understand what is the work of web server: sending file to client associated with the requested URL, uniform resource locator. Then web server architecture is there: concurrent architecture, concurrent approach, and single process event driven approach. What is event driven? Whenever someone click to a particular thing, it is event. suppose we are clicking a particular icon from mouse, it is also event. So here single process event driven approach also followed. So we will learn web clients, websites and web page in further video. Thank you to all.